Breaking news, Gruntilda is not the fairest of them all. This is Banjo Kazooie. Don't go away. So this may sound crazy as I did grow up with the Nintendo 64, but I've never once played Banjo. And that really is true. Never once did it come across as a cartridge to me. I never played it at a friend's house. I never played it on my own console. But because it's one of my friend's favorite games of all time, I've always had my eye on it. And I gotta be honest, the first minute of this game has me smiling pretty much until the last minute. The whole story is kind of funny. Gruntilda pretty much asked who's the prettiest of them all in all the land. And things like, well, it was you, but now Banjo's sister Tootie, yeah, she's better. And instead of going to the local witch gym and hitting a few reps, the witch Gruntilda kidnaps Tootie and goes to some body transformation witch magic shit. But that's not really of importance because this is a platformer, which is collecting and movement. So how does that go? And it's really damn good. You start off in pretty much the tutorial hub world. You walk around and do basic tutorials of the game's most basic moves. And I gotta be honest, this is one of my favorite ways to start a game because it does introduce you to everything, but not in a slow way and not in some dumb way. Something else I like that was pretty simple is just the progression system to progress from levels 1 through next. You collect two main things in this game, notes and Jiggies. Jiggies get you to the next level. They completely let you go through that door. Notes let you go through the first door to get to the next door. Kind of a weird two-step process that seems redundant, but it actually works. But of course, being a platformer with collecting as a heavy incentive and stuff to do, that's not all you collect. You collect skulls for Mumbo, you collect eggs to shoot with, feathers to fly, honeycombs to upgrade your HP, and my personal favorite, Jinjos. They're just super fun to collect because of how they sound when you collect them. And the levels that you'll find these Jinjos and notes and Jiggies in is great. There's 9 across the board, which is a healthy amount compared to ukulele. And really, there's no level that looks the same. Every level from 1 to 9 is completely different. Maybe you could say Clinker's Cavern and Rusty Bucket Bay is sort of similar because they're both water levels. Maybe. But other than that, they're completely different from each other. And on top of that, every level has its own enemies and its own creative way to find Jiggies and progress through the level. Some examples would be in Treasure Trove Cove, there's a way to spell out the game's name in a certain time limit to get a Jiggy. In Bubble Gloop Swamp, you could be a crocodile and try to out-eat another crocodile in pretty much this food competition. Or in Freezeezy Park, you could do a race against a polar bear. There's always small little things like that in levels that just make it so unique. Something else that's different in almost every level is Mumbo. Not Mumbo himself, but the transformation you get, because you collect Mumbo's skulls in this game, and it's currency you trade in to, with his help of his magic, to transform into anything. It could be a pumpkin, a crocodile, or an ant. And if you've been paying attention to the levels, you realize, oh, I'm a pumpkin, I'm small now, I can fit inside that little door now that I'm not a giant bear and bird. And although I wish there was a button to just transform back into your original form instead of going all the way back to Mumbo, that's just a small nitpick, but that is just another example of something that could be unique to a world. Unfortunately, after the first few levels, you really don't get any extra. It's pretty much the exact same thing from there on out. Now that's just completely on paper. Of course, in game, every level plays differently. But on paper, you get Jiggies, you get notes, and you go until you get to the end of the game. Surprisingly, there was no bosses in quite literally any of the levels. Maybe in Rusty Bucket Bay, you would consider the giant box dude a boss? I think I would, maybe?
Wait a minute.
Go back.
Zoom in. Glad we cleared that up.
But the final boss, aka the quiz that Gruntilda puts on at the end, is, I think, my favorite boss of all time. I'm not willing to put the #1 stamp on that, but I'm willing to put top 5. Because I'll be honest, going in, I knew that there was a quiz because my friend talked about it. And I thought, it's probably going to be like 10 questions. But to my surprise, it was like a board game quiz. You got to choose your own path. Great, love that. But the questions weren't just based off of what you heard from Gruntilda's sister, Brentilda, which was across the map. She always says, oh, her nickname in high school was like Hoochie Pants or some shit. Yes, those were some of the questions, but there was some great ones, like soundtrack based, like what level was this soundtrack from? Or whose voice is this? Or look at this picture, which level is this? Or challenge-based ones, where you get teleported to a challenge that you've done previously. You pretty much play Jumanji in Banjo Kazooie. If you lose a life. Lose all your lives, and of course in this game you restart. And at the end, it was like, that was one of the best ways to end a video game. You know, the credits were rolling, and I was, sitting back, and I was like, that was a really damn good game. And then Banjo's like, something, because I didn't catch it fully because I was texting my friend. I finished Banjo. What a great game that was. And then, Banjo runs off, and I was like, oh, what just happened? And I damn nearly shut the whole console off because I thought that was it. The credits rolled. And I picked the controller up just to take like one, jump around, just one last, touch of the controller. And I was like, oh, there's a new door here. And I can't even describe how low my heart sank when I realized that that wasn't the real ending. So I went from one of the coolest endings I've ever, played through to actually that wasn't the ending. What you need to do is go back and pretty much replay the entire game and get 95% of collectibles, then come back. Because out of all the stuff this game does good, it has one huge ass flaw. If you die or exit a level, all progression is gone. So if you needed like 900 or 880 or 890 notes for a door, and you had like 850, so you're 40 off, it's not like you can go back to a level and get like 40. Because at that point, I had almost every level to 80, 85. So if I really wanted to 100% the game, I'd have to go back to 5 or 6 levels, which is about 60, 70% of the game, and 100% them. The problem with that is because nothing saves in this game, you don't go back and be like, I collected those notes, so they're gone, and the only notes that I haven't collected, the like 12 that I'm missing, are going to be there. No, you have to still collect the 85 you've already collected and then find the like 15 that you're missing, all without dying, falling off the map, or leaving the area. And because this is a 1996 Nintendo 64 game, you can fall off the map quite easily. So I didn't have the motivation to search up on YouTube every note location in this map and do that 5 or 6 times, and hopefully I don't die. And from what I've heard, getting the 90% door is pretty much the real true ending, which is something I don't think I've ever heard of before. It's kind of like if Resident Evil 4 ended in a way where it was, oh, the jet ski, and it's like, oh wait, actually Sadler's still alive. Hopefully you collected 90% of the spinels. If you haven't, replay through the game and you'll get to fight Sadler for the real ending. And then you go back and all the enemies and everything else has been reset, including the spindles you already have. That's pretty much how it felt to me.
A little rough, don't you think?
Presentation wise, I don't want to stay on this topic for too long because I could get lost in this topic. And also, I kind of already knew it was going to be an absolute out of the hit home run. Everything I've heard about this game is that it's basically a carbon copy of DK64. And I mean, yeah, it pretty much is. And DK64 has amazing presentation. Something I always love to highlight for soundtracks wise, because I mean, straight up, I could say soundtracks are so good in this game. We already know that. But it's the small things in soundtracks that get my attention, like walking around and you hear the soundtrack, right? And then you go in the water and it's the same soundtrack but just a different variation of it. And the same thing for the hub world as well. You're walking around, here's the hub world theme. But then you walk into where you're about to go into Treasure Trove Cove. Sort of shifts. It's the same soundtrack, right? But it shifts into that theme. The way the characters talk in this game is, I'm surprised it hasn't been done yet, other than Ukulele, which was, inspired off of Banjo Kazooie and early platformers, but I'm surprised that Banjo and Banjo Tooie are the only ones to do that, to my knowledge. You save time on actual person dialogue because you can just put in funky sounds for the voice, and it sounds kind of cool, honestly. So overall, this is really one of the best Nintendo 64 games that I've played. Banjo Kazooie offers great charm and is really one of the more memorable platformers I've played. And more importantly, this game possesses a quality that I wish was more present in today's time, is that it doesn't take itself too seriously. It's not going for a realistic vibe. You play as a bear with a sidekick who is a bird, and Kazooie, the bird, is pretty much like a jerk to everyone he meets. And a lot of that dialogue really makes me laugh out loud. And yeah, there are some small nitpicks I can make, mostly because it's a Nintendo 64 game. Like the double jump, sure, the double jump isn't really a double jump, it's a jump and glide. Like, there was a lot of times where I thought I could jump up to a platform from a water-based area, and it just couldn't, even though it completely looks like it. The flying could be tuned a bit, and of course the camera, but I'm not even going to talk about the camera because it's how every other camera was. And of course the game has the one major flaw of it not saving anything for any of the levels, resulting in everything being reset. But it has so much more right that I don't care, because at the end of the day, platformers are about two things, and I've always said this: collecting and movement. That's literally all you do in a platformer. The movement here is solid and fun, and there is a bit of a skill ceiling, and the collecting is not, drowning you, but it's fun to collect and it's exciting. So for all the reasons I've listed, 8.9 out of 10. So that's it. Banjo Kazooie is down. No more Jinjos to be collected here. Until Tooie. I hope Jinjos come back and that the game keeps its charm. And honestly, I'm kind of really excited for Banjo Tooie. From what I've heard, it's better than the first. So we'll see about that. But for now, I'm your host, Sarah Player Entertainment, and Ouch's Review. Peace out.
What is up? I know what you're thinking. You're only here for the bonus Easter egg soundtrack I put in at the end of every video. But did you also know I have a donation page under Buy Me a Coffee? Donate whatever you want to my channel, and I'll put half that back to an environmental charity. So that's that. Enjoy the music. Peace out.